No power, no people, just me, her, and the end of everything. If anyone's still out there, this is my story. I don't even know if anyone will read this. Hell, I don't even know if Reddit is still cached on some random server that survived the pulse. But writing this somehow feels like I'm still human. Like I didn't forget how to talk, how to remember, how to feel something besides the constant burn of hunger and fear. My name was Brad. I lived just outside Detroit. I was 23 when the sky went quiet. It happened on a Tuesday, August, hot as hell. 1 second the world was buzzing with life, phones, fridges, traffic lights, tick-tocks. The next, silence, not the peaceful kind, the terrifying kind where you realize how much we depended on all that humming. I was in the garage, working on my old pickup. Izzy, my wife Isabella, was at the clinic, doing her usual double shift because people still need stitches. Brad, even if I'm exhausted. Our cat, Junibug, was passed out on the couch like nothing was happening. And then everything stopped. The lights flickered, then died. My tools whined and cut out mid-spark. I thought it was just a blackout, those weren't exactly rare around here. But then the radio was dead. My phone too, the truck wouldn't start. Nothing, not even my neighbor's ancient generator. That's when the first oh shit moment hit. I biked to the clinic. Roads were chaos, people honking, engines dying, everyone confused. The weirdest part, no explosions, no sirens, just confusion. Like the air forgot how to vibrate. Izzy met me outside, pale as a sheet, stethoscope still around her neck. "Something's wrong," she said. "This isn't just power, it's everything." That night, the stars were too bright. You don't realize how many satellites and planes clutter the sky until they're gone. We didn't sleep, no one did. By morning, the city felt wrong. Quiet in all the bad ways. People standing outside waiting for answers. Waiting for news that wouldn't come. Some tried their cars again. Nothing. No phones, no news, just dead glass screens. Day 2 and the grocery stores started to look like old war footage. People weren't looting, not yet. Maury-like panic shopping with desperation. Milk was gone first, then bread, then canned goods. People left cash at the register out of habit, like it still meant something. We took what we could. Tuna, beans, rice, a few candles, pet food. Izzy grabbed meds from the clinic, painkillers, antibiotics, bandages. I snatched whatever tools still made sense without power. We still thought help was coming. By day 5, we knew no one was coming. After that night, everything shifted. We stopped sleeping in the bedroom, too exposed, moved the mattress into the hallway, no windows, just walls. Izzy called it our sad little panic nest. I laughed, then cried when she wasn't looking. The world outside turned grey real fast. Trash piling up, stray dogs, people walking in packs now, not alone. Most still decent, still hopping for power, for order. But the looks were changing. People stopped waving. Gas stations were graveyards. We biked past one, pumps ripped apart, probably with crowbars. Someone painted Help US on the wall in what looked like red spray paint, but maybe it was. The water stopped on day 19. No warning, just a dry faucet and Izzy's shit echoing through the house. We had about 10 gallons saved, enough for a few days if we didn't wash, if we rationed. We started walking to the old middle school 3 blocks down. They had a rain barrel out back, not clean but better than nothing. That's where we saw our first firefight. 2 groups yelling, then shots, like actual gunshots. Izzy pulled me behind a dumpster. We didn't breathe. We didn't move. When it was over, there were 3 bodies in the parking lot. Nobody even came to check. That's when we made the decision. We had to leave. Detroit was dead, not all of it, but enough. No cops, no hospitals, no structure. Just scattered people waiting for the next bad thing. We heard rumors there was a camp forming somewhere upstate, near Grayling, old National Guard base. No guarantees, but better than waiting to die on a porch in suburbia. Packing was surreal, like prepping for a camping trip, except we might never come back. We took what we could carry: meds, water, food, tarp, tools. 1 flashlight, useless. 1 hand crank radio, even more useless, and Junibug in a backpack with a screen front. She hated it. I think that's what made it feel real. We said goodbye to our home, with nothing more than a long look. Izzy kissed the doorframe. I laughed. Seriously. She said, "Yeah, it's stupid, but it's ours." We walked. Did about 10 miles a day. Some roads were still clear, but we avoided highways too exposed. Took backroads trails, saw others sometimes. A family of 4 walking east, pushing a cart with a baby. A man alone, covered in dirt, muttering to himself. 2 teens who looked like they'd been living off vending machines for weeks. Nobody talked, not unless you had to. On the 5th day, we came across a group. 4 guys armed, bandanas over their faces. One of them whistled when he saw Izzy. My stomach turned. They blocked the road, asked where we were headed. We said north. They said we had to pay toll. No joke, like they were the freaking government now. Said they'd take half our stuff and we could go. Izzy stepped behind me. I pulled out the crowbar. I swear to God, I've never been more scared. My knees were shaking so bad I thought they'd hear it. But I guess we didn't look like much, just a couple of skinny nobodies with a backpack and a cat. They laughed, one called me Thor, said I should hit the gym post-apocalypse, then they waved us through. I didn't breathe until we were a mile past them. That night we slept in a busted-out convenience store. I found an old candy bar wedged under a shelf, still sealed, split it with Izzy. She made me eat the bigger half, said I needed it more. Junebug caught a mouse, we both screamed, then laughed. I think it was the first real laugh we'd had since it all went dark. It hit me then that even now, with the world rotting, with danger around every tree and hunger chewing through us like termites, we still had this, each other, a stupid cat, and chocolate. Goddamn if that didn't feel like hope. We saw the smoke before we saw the town. Thin, clean lines of it rising in the distance, not a wildfire, not a house burning down, controlled, human, the kind of smoke that meant someone was cooking or boiling water or trying to stay warm. That kind of smoke makes your heart race out here, it means people. Izzy and I looked at each other. I don't like people, I said, only half joking. People have food, she answered, and maybe antibiotics. She always knew how to win an argument. We found the place just off what used to be Highway 24, a cluster of maybe 24 buildings. The sign was gone, or maybe ripped down, but someone had drawn a skull and crossbones on the side of a gas station. Promising. We approached slow, hands visible. Junebug in her carrier, me pushing our cart, Izzy walking ahead like she was leading a field hospital through hell. 2 guys up on a rooftop clocked us with binoculars, one waved. We stopped. Then a woman in flannel came out of the church and yelled, "You look half dead, get in here." Didn't take much convincing. Her name was Carol, probably late 50s, hard lines around her mouth but soft eyes, gave us soup, said they were trying to build something steady, a little light in the dark, she called it. About 20 of them in all, ex-teacher, truckers, a few teens, an older couple. Some stayed permanently, some just passed through. "Long as you pull your weight, you're welcome," she said. Izzy offered to help with first aid, and when Carol found out she was an actual doctor, you'd think they'd found a golden goose. I said I was good with wiring. They brought me a busted solar charger like it was treasure. So we stayed. Not forever, just long enough. The food wasn't great, but it was hot, and shared, that counted for a lot. Nights we sat around oil drum fires in what used to be the grocery store parking lot. Someone played a half-tuned guitar. There were jokes, even laughter, brittle, cautious laughter, but real. Izzy looked like herself again. The circles under her eyes faded a little. She taught 2 teens how to stitch wounds and sterilize needles. I rewired a few lights and helped patch up their makeshift water system. It almost felt like peace. But peace is a tricky thing. You start to relax and that little voice in your head, the one that's kept you alive, starts whispering, "Hey buddy, you sure this is real?" I started noticing things. Like how they locked the doors at night, not just bolted, chained, like they were afraid someone might try to leave. Like how Carol always had the final word. Every decision went through her. There were community meetings, but nobody ever disagreed with her in public. Like how a guy named Dave just stopped showing up. They said he left early that morning, but no one saw him go. Just little things. One night I went to pee behind the church and heard whispering behind the old rectory. 2 voices. One of them said, "He asked too many questions." The other replied, "We couldn't risk it." I backed away before they noticed me. That was the first time I didn't sleep. Izzy noticed, she's too sharp not to. "What happened?" "I think something's off," I said. Not full-blown horror movie stuff, but sketchy. She didn't answer right away, just kept looking at the ceiling. Then quietly, "I don't trust Carol." That hit harder than I expected, because if Izzy doesn't trust you, that's serious. We didn't run, not yet. That's not how it works when you're on the edge like that. You wait, you gather, you watch. Running too early can be just as bad as staying too long. So we stayed, we smiled, we helped, we kept Junebug close and our boots dry. And I started writing things down. Not much at first, just a few details in the margins of an old church bulletin. Who was missing, who got quiet when certain names came up, how many people carried knives and where they kept them. Not because I thought I was clever, just because it helped. Because maybe one day, someone else would need to know who to trust. Maybe someone would pick up the pieces of this world and try again. Or maybe I just needed to feel like my thoughts were going somewhere. Like they might matter. We should have left sooner. I know that now, hindsight's a hell of a thing. The shift happened gradually, like a slow leak in a tire. A little more tension each day, a little less laughter at night. Even Junebug started acting strange. She wouldn't eat unless Izzy fed her by hand, and she refused to go near the front windows. Then came the kid. Her name was Hannah, maybe 5 years old. Big eyes, always sticky from juice or dirt. Her mom, Laura, was one of the quieter folks, always kept to herself. One night, the kid just wasn't there. No panic, no search party, just a weird, eerie silence. I asked one of the teens, the girl Izzy was teaching, and she just muttered, "Hannah wandered off, it happens." Like that was normal. Izzy asked Carol point blank, "Where's the girl?" Carol smiled. Children are fragile in times like this. Maybe it's a mercy she went quick. What the fuck? We didn't say anything out loud, not right then. But Izzy and I locked eyes across the room, and that was it. We started packing the moment we got back to our cot. No goodbyes, no explanations. Just layers, socks, gloves, food, water, cat in the carrier, everything else could burn. We waited till just before dawn. The guards on the roof always changed shifts around 4:30. Carol liked routine. I took one last look at the grocery store fire pit, where someone was playing guitar out of tune the night before. It looked like the past, like the version of life we wanted to believe in, and I hated it for that. We slipped out through the south lot. Nobody saw us go. At least, I think they didn't. The cold hit harder outside the compound. We hadn't felt real wind in weeks. It sliced right through our layers, made Junebug mewl in protest. We walked west, sticking to the old rail tracks. No plan, no map, just away. Izzy didn't cry, not then. She was all business, rationing, checking supplies, keeping count of how many calories we had between us. But her shoulders were tight the whole way, like her body was bracing for something her mind hadn't caught up to yet. After 2 days, we found an old ranger station. Nothing fancy, just 4 walls and a door that shut. There were bunk beds inside. Someone had lived there long ago. We never saw them. We lit a fire and ate instant oats with dry cranberries. Junebug sat in my lap like she owned the place. "I miss eggs," Izzy said. "Yeah," I said, "I miss Wi-Fi." She actually laughed, a real one, like snorted. "Do you think anyone's still out there?" she asked later, curled up in the bunk across from mine. "I don't know," I said, "but if they are, they're probably asking the same thing." She was quiet for a while. "Then, you still writing stuff down?" I nodded, pulled the notebook from my pack. It was just a torn-off corner of an old Bible and a pencil stub, but it worked. She looked at me, serious. "Keep doing it, someone might need it someday." So I did. I started calling it the Book of Maybe, because maybe someone would read it. Maybe they'd care. Maybe the world won't end all at once, but in little pieces. And maybe writing them down can stitch a few of those pieces back together. If anyone's still out there. This is my story. The problem with surviving is, you still have to wake up the next day. The first week after we left Carol's Heaven on Earth commune was brutal. We were moving slow, not because we were lazy, but because it hurt to move fast. My back ached from the pack, my hands were cracked and raw, and Izzy's boots were a size too small. She never complained, but I could see it in how she walked. Limp, grit teeth, limp, grit teeth. And Junebug, she hated everything, I mean everything. She took to growling at trees. Actual trees. I guess in her defense, she hadn't seen a squirrel in a week, and we were all starting to lose it a bit. We followed the old highway west. No cars moved, obviously, just graveyards of machines, frozen in place like sculptures of a dead world. Every so often we'd see signs of life. A torn-up campsite, empty cans, sometimes chalk drawings on an underpass wall. Once we passed a burned-out school bus with the words, "Don't stop," spray-painted on the side. We didn't. There's something really humbling about eating cold beans in an abandoned gas station bathroom while your wife pulls a splinter out of your foot and your cat hisses at shadows. I almost laughed. Or maybe I did, can't remember. Izzy looked at me like I was crazy. "You good?" she asked. "Yeah," I said, just thinking about how this was not the honeymoon I promised you. She rolled her eyes and gave me the finger, in a loving way. Later she whispered, "I had a dream last night that we were back in our old apartment. Power was on, you were making pancakes. I don't even know how to make pancakes. I know they were awful." She smiled, but I could see the tears creeping in. She didn't cry, not then. We found an old hunting shack a few days later, just a roof and a stove and a dead raccoon in the corner. I threw it out with a shovel and duct taped the window shut. It was home for 3 nights. On the second night, the wind picked up hard. It howled through the gaps like the world was screaming. Izzy sat up in her sleeping bag and said, "Do you hear that?" I froze. "What?" She pointed. I strained to listen, and yeah, it was faint but real. Static. Like radio static. We tore the shack apart and found it, an old battery-powered radio tucked behind a cabinet, covered in dust, corroded as hell, but when I twisted the dial it made a sound. A sound? In this dead, silent world. Just a buzz at first, then a voice barely there, cutting in and out like wind through tin. Safe zone north, repeating, northwest quadrant. Then gone. Izzy was shaking. Did you hear that? I nodded, couldn't even speak. We stayed up all night trying to find the signal again. Nothing. But it didn't matter, the damage was done. Hope had found a way in. We didn't sleep, we packed, we planned. We had a direction now. Northwest. I started writing more that night. The little torn-up notebook's almost out of pages now, but I can't stop. If you're reading this, whoever you are, I want you to understand something. It's not just about surviving, it's about believing something might be worth surviving for. That maybe this whole mess doesn't end in silence. That maybe someone's out there, waiting. That maybe pancakes are still a thing somewhere. Hell, I'll even eat the bad ones. The weirdest thing about walking through dead towns is realizing how quiet people used to be. Without cars, cell phones, or background music, you start to hear things you were never supposed to. The hum of wind through broken windows, the crunch of gravel under boots. Once we heard a cow, just one, no idea where it came from, never saw it. Sometimes I think about how loud our old life was. Power tools, phones, Netflix autoplay, arguments, laughter. Now it's just footsteps, hours. We followed the signal north-northwest. We figured we were in Michigan still, hard to say exactly where, but we had a vague idea. Somewhere around the old state line was a place where someone had access to a radio tower. Someone organized, someone alive. We ran into people on the way, not many, and most weren't interested in talking. At one point, a man pointed a crossbow at us from a rooftop and just said, "Keep moving." So we did. Another time, a woman with a bike offered us 2 cans of peaches in exchange for a roll of gauze. Izzy didn't even hesitate. "Take it," she said. "You a nurse?" "Doctor." The woman looked stunned. "You're kidding." I wish I was. She gave us the peaches, then hugged Izzy for too long. Then she cried, then left. We never got her name. 3 days later, we saw the tower. It was half collapsed, rusted as hell, but somehow still standing. A handful of trailers surrounded it, a fence made of car hoods and chain link. And people, real people, watching us through binoculars. I waved, Izzy didn't. They opened the gate. Turns out the safe zone wasn't exactly the utopia the radio made it sound like. It was more like a cold, tired co-op run by a guy named Wheeze who used to work in logistics at Amazon. Nice enough guy, bit of a control freak. They had food, batteries, even a generator they fired up twice a week for 20 minutes at a time. "You've got a doctor?" Wheeze asked. "Jesus, that's gold." Izzy just nodded, arms crossed. They gave us a tent, some clean water, even a blanket for Junebug. For the first time in weeks, we didn't sleep with one eye open. But I didn't like the way people looked at Izzy, like she was a resource. A tool. Like she belonged to them now. Over the next few days, things got weird. We started scheduling her shifts. She was expected to check in, take inventory, even patch up people from raids or fights. I offered to help wiring solar panels, running cables, whatever. He said, "We'll let you know." No one let me know. They didn't want an electrician. They wanted a doctor. And I was just extra weight. Izzy saw it too. We talked about leaving. "Where would we even go?" she asked. "There's nothing out there." "There's this," I said, gesturing around. "This isn't it either." She was quiet for a long time. Then said, "If we leave, we go west, as far as we can. California. Or wherever the road gives out." We made the plan, quietly, just in case someone was listening. But we weren't fast enough. On the 5th night, someone tried to take Junebug. I shit you not. I heard a yowl like she was being skinned, ran out of the tent barefoot, tackled some skinny dude trying to shove her in a sack. We fought, he bit my arm, I hit him with a can of green beans. The only reason I didn't kill him was because Izzy screamed my name, loud enough to snap me out of it. They dragged him off, said it was a misunderstanding. Next morning, Wheeze came by and said maybe we weren't the right fit for the community. I told him we were already planning on leaving. He didn't argue. We left that night, no goodbyes, just a sack of food, a full canteen, and each other. Izzy looked back once, I didn't. The road west was long and black. And we walked straight into it. We followed the old highway until it just stopped. Nature had been busy, grass through asphalt, pine trees chewing up the shoulder. Somewhere around what used to be Iowa, we found an abandoned truck stop that hadn't been looted clean. A miracle. I found this notebook in the glove box of an old Dodge. It's weird writing on paper again, but I figured maybe someday someone will find it, and if they do, I want them to know what happened, not to the world, that part's obvious, but to us. To me. To Izzy. It's been 9 months since the sky went black. 9 months since the last text I sent was, "Babe, they said stay inside," and then nothing ever worked again. We've seen the best and worst of what's left. Izzy saved a kid from dying of sepsis using nothing but boiled water and thread. I watched a man shoot his dog because it was barking too loud and he was afraid someone would hear. I don't believe in God anymore, but I believe in Izzy. She's all I've got left that makes sense. We almost made it to Nebraska when I got sick. Started as a cough, just a cough, then it turned into blood, shakes, chills. Izzy tried everything: herbs, mushrooms, makeshift antibiotics. She boiled water every 2 hours. She rationed food to keep me strong. She didn't sleep. But we both knew. I was fadding. I told her to leave me behind, keep going, find people, or don't, just live. She didn't even answer. Just held my hand. This is the part where the hero says something brave and stoic, right? Some final line like in the movies, but I'm not that guy. I'm scared. I don't want to die here. But more than that, I don't want her to die trying to save me. Last night, when she finally dozed off, I packed a bag with 2 days of food, the map, and the flashlight. Left the rest for her. I kissed her forehead. Told Junibug she's in charge now. Then I walked. I don't know if I'll find anything, or anyone. But if I die out here, maybe she won't have to watch. Maybe that's the last gift I can give her. If you're rating this, if anyone's still out there, this was my story. And hers. And I hope she's still telling it. Somewhere.